Everybody, welcome to this Retail Brilliance Live, where today we're going to talk about the most wonderful time of the year. What am I talking about here? Just a second. I got to click on something. What are we talking about here? What we're talking about is the holidays. And for the next 45 minutes to an hour, together we're going to explore how you get the absolute most out of your holiday season. And what we're going to talk about here is people, products, and promotions. We're going to talk about people, both your customers and what makes your holiday customers special, and the people who work for you, how they're going to make your customers' holiday specials. Products, not only what you bring in and why, but how you display them for maximum effectiveness. And then finally, promotions. I'm going to share three of my favorite promotions, fairly easy to execute. Wow. I'm going to share three of my favorite promotions with you, and you will get a really great idea of this concept that the holidays can be maximized. And this is really kind of a sneak peek of Holiday University. Holiday University is a program that we created and that is on Retail Brilliance. And this is a small sample of what you're going to get at Holiday University. And we have a special price on Holiday University right now. So if you like what you hear in this program, you're going to love what you learn in the Holiday University course. So some of you, hang on, I'm trying to see if I can find myself here on Facebook so I can talk to you. I'm not seeing it, so I'm going to turn around. But uh, you may know me, you may not. If you're part of the WhizBang training community, you know who I am. I have an old dog that's making sounds. But here's who I am. So in 1981 or 1983, I started the Mackinac Kite Company. And the Mackinac Kite Company was one of the first specialty kite stores in the world. And I was young, I didn't know what I was doing, and I screwed up so many things. But that's a picture of me and my brother Steve. And brother Steve and I, we were young, we were used to being poor, we really wanted it badly. So we just kept working through our mistakes. We kept working through our mistakes. And then eventually, we started to really get traction. And that's what you want. You want that traction that comes with skills. And then about 12 years into our retail journey, I met my wife, Susan. And Susan was a department store executive. She worked for Bloomingdale's, Lord and Taylor's, Macy's. She was a senior buyer. She was a sales executive. So she had been trained how to do all of these things. And so when she brought her department store skills into our small independent brick and mortar retail store, magic started to happen and it really started to work. And that's what I want to share with you. This idea that when you start to dial in your skills, when you know what to do and you do it, good things are going to happen. For so many years, Steve and I, and so many independent retailers I know, just keep throwing stuff against the wall and hope something sticks. And that's not the way it works. It's about mindset, skill set, and structure. So today you're going to learn a bunch of things that can really, really maximize your holiday season. So in 1999, my brother Steve came to me. He was my junior partner. I was the founder. I was the CEO. He came to me and said, Bob, I'd like to buy your share of the Mackinac Kite Company. I sold it to him. He still runs it successfully, by the way. And Susan and I started WhizBang Retail Training. And all we do is work with independent retailers like you. You are our mission. You are our passion. Helping you get where you want to go is why everybody at WhizBang Training goes to work every day. What you see here is a picture of Susan and I on stage at the Retail Success Summit. That's our big signature event. And yeah, we've been doing this for a long time. I am what you call a battle tested veteran. I've worked on the floor for 19 years. I've done this with countless retailers. So, what I'm going to share with you today works. How do I know it works? Because it either worked in my store or it worked in the stores of our clients. This is guaranteed to work. So, let's start with people. And the first thing to understand about the holidays is that your holiday customer is different than your regular customer. Sure, some of the people who come into your store are going to be buying for themselves, but most of your customers are going to be gift givers. And when you understand that, it changes the way that you merchandise your store, that you promote your store. It changes the way that you approach the holiday season. So, this is the first real shift in the mindset. You're not selling to the people you usually sell to. You're selling to the people you usually sell to, but you're selling them something different. You're selling them gifts. Of course, if you can sell them things that they're going to use for themselves, that's awesome. But also understand this because this is really important. Your holiday customer is busy and overwhelmed. Sure, there are Saturdays when people come in and they love the vibe and they're taking their time and they're in the holiday spirit. That happens. And good. You should set your store up for those type of customers. But recognize that most people are busy and overwhelmed, and they're just trying to cross the name off the list. So it used to be funny because my brother Steve was a great salesman. I don't think he was as good a salesman as me, but that's neither here nor there. But Steve would just really, literally, after, when he was talking to people on the floor during the holidays, he would say to them, what's on your list? And they would tell him. And at the end, if they were busy, he would say jokingly, but only half jokingly, give me your list and come back in an hour and I'll have all your shopping done for you. This is the way a lot of your customers are thinking. So, again, what we're trying to do in this hour is we're trying to change our mindsets and recognize that the holidays are not the same. Yes, it's going to be busier, but what we're trying to do is set ourselves up for success by understanding the differences between the first 3 quarters of the year and the fourth quarter of the year. So this is a very brief look at your holiday customer. Now let's look at, but it's an important distinction. It's the most important distinction when you think about your customers. But now let's talk about your team, because so many people don't get this right. And if you don't get this right, you're in for a lot of stress, a lot of problems. Your holiday is not going to run like you want it to run. So, what is one of the goals? One of the goals of the holidays for you as a store owner, at least it was for me, is I wanted to maximize my sales, of course. I wanted to give my customers a great experience, of course. But I also wanted to make it good for me. We had young children. Susan and I mean, we have a life. And so what we wanted to do and what I'd like you to ponder is, what would it be like if you had an amazing team that knew how to handle everything? So, if you had a holiday party with your group of closest friends, you could go there and not worry about your store. And that comes from having a team of superstars. What you don't want to do and what you don't want to have is a team that's half great people, a quarter who knows what they're going to be, who knows how they're going to perform on any particular day, and then a quarter of the people who are just holding up the register. You want a team full of superstars, 100%. You need enough of the right people doing the right things, giving your customers the experience they deserve so that everything is working the best that it could possibly work. A couple of things about how you bring along your team. The first thing is have a deep bench. The people you have for three quarters are probably not enough to bring you through the fourth quarter. So I would always, and I encourage people to over hire because people quit. People have to leave. You hire somebody and they're not as good as you thought they were going to be. So if you have too many people, I would much rather give everybody a few less hours or have my payroll be a little high in the beginning to ensure that everything is run smoothly than to try to run on sort of this minimum staff, right? That's a really, really hard thing to do. So, what do you want to do? You want to have a deep bench, you want to hire in some new people. One of the tricks that I learned was to call all of your old employees, even the mediocre ones, right? Because a mediocre team member from the past is more up to speed than a new team member in the present. And I learned this, so just a quick historical piece of information. So we were a pure play kite store. And then we decided that we wanted to get into the toy business. And when we made that decision, we moved to our store, our Grand Haven store, from a tourist mall into downtown, specifically because we wanted to do fourth quarter toy business. And so we knew we needed more people. And so I called, I was like, I'm just going to call these people who had worked for me in the summer, just to see. I really sort of dismissed it. I didn't think it was a strong idea, but I did it anyway. So the first person I called, here's what he said to me. He says, I'm so glad, he was a college student. I'm so glad you called. I was just thinking about looking for a job for the holiday season. In that moment, I realized that all of my college kids were coming back. They were coming back for for the holiday seasons, and some of them might want to pick up some hours. Some of your people who haven't worked for you for a couple years might need a little extra holiday money, or they like working in your store at the holidays. So call all of your old employees to see who might want to work. Now, here's one of the nice thing about calling old employees is a lot of them have flexibility. They don't need full-time work. They're like, oh, yeah, I can help you out. They're sort of that bench. And when you have the bench, when somebody calls in sick or heaven forbid, COVID raises its ugly head this holiday season, you're not stuck working all the hours. Or even worse, equally bad, your team, your store is not short staffed. So, this idea of having a deep bench is incredibly important when you start thinking about how you're going to build the most profitable, joyous, stress-free holiday season ever. Now, let's go to the next thing. And this idea that even if you bring in old employees, you still want to create a down and dirty, holiday specific, short and sweet training program. Your team members cannot read your mind. If you don't set clear expectations, they have no choice but to create their own. Say that again. If you don't set clear expectations, your team members have no choice but to establish their own. And then on the flip side, you have no right to be angry with them when they don't do what you want them to do. So here is sort of the basics of a holiday training program. First of all, what are your non-negotiable standards? And a non-negotiable standard is a standard that everybody adheres to in exchange for their employment. Non-negotiable standards include things like you are on the floor ready to sell when your shift starts. You will attempt to add on to every sale at the register. You will ask three good questions with every customer. You know your business. What are three, four, maybe five things that if they happened every single time, all through the holidays, your holidays would be easier, better, and for everyone. So, non negotiable standards, basic policies and procedures. If somebody hasn't worked for you for 2 years, but they're willing to come back and be a part time employee, things have probably changed. So, you owe it to them to help them understand what is happening now. Basic operations. How do you do things on the floor? How do things happen in the back room? What does it look like when the open and closing checklist is done? Then we start talking about bestseller product knowledge. This is particularly important during the holidays because you're bringing in new goods. So even your current team may not know features, benefits, what makes this sell, what makes this awesome, what makes this a great gift. So you owe it to yourself, your customers, and your team members to say, what are going to be our best sellers this year? And create a training program. Doesn't have to be in depth, but again, give your team the information they need so they can be successful. And then finally, sales training. You don't have to go deep. You don't have to sign up for the Retail Sales Academy, although it's a great idea if you do it now. But selling is a skill, and you have to train your staff to sell. So, again, in this down and dirty, quick and easy training program, give people the fundamentals. Now, the final thing that I want to say about people is this: a lot of people mistake product training for sales training. They are different. Product training is what you sell. This is the thing. This is why it would be a great gift. These are the features. These are the benefits. This is who it might be the perfect gift for. That's your product. Sales training is how you sell it. How do you skillfully engage in a conversation? What kind of questions do you ask to uncover who the person is buying for, how much they want to spend? All of those things. I talked about the Retail Sales Academy just a moment ago. That is our online sales training platform. You can go to retailsalesacademy.com. But I teach this thing called the 6 steps to the perfect purchase. So if you can get your team really dialed in for sales training before the holiday season, good on you. But I'm not trying to sell the Retail Sales Academy here as much as I'm trying to help you understand that all of these things, when you put them into play, are going to make your customers' experience better, your sales and profits higher, your team's experience better, and perhaps most importantly, your experience better. Now, see this thing? This is an iPhone. There's a camera. Here's what I recommend. I recommend that you just make it down and dirty. Hey, it's Bob, and let's go through what I think are going to be the top 10 bestsellers this year, what makes them special, who they're for, things like that. You just make a video. You can post it on a private channel on YouTube. You can put them on a Google Drive. Better yet, we have something on Retail Brilliance. You can put your training program on Retail Brilliance, and there's all sorts of functionality associated with it. But again, that's a different conversation. What I want to emphasize here is that training is important. If you want to have the best holiday season ever, your people, those people who work for you, if you have a deep bench and you give them baseline training, your life is going to be a lot better. So, Indy, do we have any questions here? I'm sorry I wasn't able to look at my phone.
Nope, no questions right now.
Okay. All right. If anybody has any questions, put them in chat and we'll be sure to get to them. So that is your people, customers, your team. Now let's talk about your product because your holiday merchandise is different than your regular merchandise. And by the way, all the things that you're going to learn now are the things that Susan taught me that made a huge difference in our holiday business. I mean, what you're going to learn in this little section in the next 15 minutes or so could increase your holiday sales by easily by 10% if you take what you're learning and you put it into action. So the first thing to understand is when you plan your merchandise, plan by price points. During the holidays, people are thinking price points. Oh, they have $10 to spend on this person. They have $20 to spend on a family member. They want to spend $100 on their spouse. I don't know, but people are thinking that way. Not all the time, of course, but people are thinking that way. So you want to plan your merchandise by price points. I'll just share with you my sister, my late sister. I mean, and she and her husband had a lot of money, and she was a wonderful, wonderful woman. But I mean, she was a price point woman. So if we said in the Negen family get together, holiday get together, that you could spend $20. I mean, she could spend $19.99, and that is it. And you probably know people like that. And it wasn't about what she could afford, it was about the way that she thought. So when you start thinking about your holiday merchandise, this is a valuable exercise. So just ask yourself, you know, who do we sell to? And then say, are there gifts under 20, under 50, under 100? So you could do it by who, by the avatar, or you could do it by a product category. Cozy cashmere for her home. What do we have under 50? What do we have under 100? What do we have under 200? So this is one way to help you think about the merchandise that you bring in. Now, this this is slick, ladies and gentlemen. This is the merchandise matrix. This, when Susan taught us this, it literally blew our mind because there were always holes in the merchandise. So let me tell you a quick story. So we moved from Chinook Pier, which was a tourist mall, to downtown Grand Haven so we could start to have a holiday season and sell some toys. And we had this great toy called a Zoom copter. It cost $7.99. It had great margins. It was demonstratable, and you pull the cord and the Zoom copter would fly up to the ceiling. It was awesome. And so a guy comes in. We had just moved into this new store. We're excited about the holiday season. We moved in November, actually. And so the guy's going, "Hey, I need to buy something for my nephew." I go, "Great. Check out this Zoom copter." Boom! And I looked at him and he goes, "That's awesome. How much is it?" I said, $7.99. He says, "You got anything for 20?" Three Zoom copters, right? So we didn't plan our merchandise out by price point. So this is where, when Susan taught us the merchandise matrix, this became an important part of our planning process. So here's the merchandise matrix. And so on the top, on those rows, you put price points. And your price points may be 50, 100, 200, 500. Your price points. This is just an example. And then in the column, you put your major categories. And then what you do is you want to make sure that there is something in every price point in every category. Because if somebody comes in and they're looking for jewelry for $20 and all you have is jewelry for 10 or 50, it becomes the wholesaling process, as you know, is going to become a lot less smooth and easy. This makes it really easy. And by the way, this merchandise matrix, we're talking about it here and now. But the main thing that Susan's input, the main insight from Susan's input was when we went to shows. shows, we looked at our merchandise mix and we said, where are the holes? So when we went to the trade shows, we were no longer just walking around. Oh, that's going to be hot. Oh, that's going to be hot. Let's buy a bunch of that. We wouldn't call it a bunch. We call it a boatload of that, a boatload of this, right? And all of a sudden, because Susan understood this merchandise matrix and taught it to us, now when we went to the show, we were looking for specific items in specific categories in specific price points. And it made our shopping so much better, and it made our mix so much tighter. So the merchandise matrix is something that, you can easily create, but it is incredibly valuable. Also, when we start thinking about products, think stocking stuffers. You should be selling enormous amounts of stocking stuffers. The most important thing I had to learn about stocking stuffers is that stocking stuffers are about size, not price. For me, I was always thinking that stocking stuffers had to be under $5. And then we had a client who had a premium cigar store, and he brought in a $50 cigar lighter. And he demonstrated it to all of his customers. They'd come to the counter. Hey, have you seen this new lighter? He sold out of these $50 lighters to people who were buying for cigar smokers. So it's about size, not price. Recognize that when you go to order. Stocking stuffers are a great add on. If you've been part of our community for any amount of time, you probably have heard my whistling balloon helicopter story. Whistling balloon helicopter is kind of like a Zoom copter, only it was $1.99. Again, great margins. You'd blow it up. There was a balloon, whistling balloon helicopter, had three rotors, said, and it fly up in the air. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds at the holidays. If I was at the counter ringing somebody up, I'd blow it up, let it fly, and you could see people in line going, oh, who should I get that for? Who should I get that for? I mean, literally adding on at the counter an impulse item, a stocking stuffer should be a non negotiable standard. You can also group your stocking stuffers together as well as merchandise them in the appropriate section. And you can also sign them. Signing them is incredibly important. But if you're not thinking stocking stuffers, if you're not being proactive about bringing in stocking stuffers, especially if it's appropriate, high margin, easily demonstratable stocking stuffers, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. And who wants to leave money on the table? You don't, I'm sure. So that is what you bring in. That's sort of the primer on what you bring in. Now, let's talk about visual merchandising. So, what you bring in and you have in the store, how you display it will also determine how well it sells. So, visual merchandising, display, is nothing more than the in store marketing of your products and services. We're not going to spend time talking about store layout and all of those things, but we will talk about this idea that signs sell. Individual signs, whistling balloon helicopter, perfect for kids of all ages, things like that. By gift recipients. So this would be a perfect stocking stuffer or a perfect gift for an active teenager. So, you can really use signs. And one of the things that we teach, there's a whole lesson about this in Holiday U, is that signs, there is a definite format to creating a great sign. It is item, a couple sentences that tell the story about the item, and then the price. And if you get good at creating good looking signs and put them all over your store, you're going to sell a lot more of the items that you sign. And an unintended benefit of signage is it slows people down in your store. Let me explain that for a moment. And by the way, this is one of those nuanced things that you're going to really start to get your head around in Holiday U, assuming that you go to Holiday U. People are in a hurry, they're shopping. And the longer they stay in your store, the more likely it is that they're going to buy something. And the longer they stay in your store, the more likely it is that your team will have an opportunity to serve them in person, right? Because during the holidays, often you have way more customers than team members. And so by having signs and slowing people down in your store, you're really optimizing your opportunities at many, many levels. So signage is such an important part of having a great holiday season. All right, pre-wrap bestsellers. So I'm going to tell another story. So my dad, my kids loved my dad. And we had this thing called Dart cars, right? These cars, and you'd wind them up, and they, and my dad would sit there and demonstrate them and sell 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 them. And so what we did was we just pre-wrapped them. So anybody who would went, wow, that is a great gift for me, and saw that it was already wrapped, it solved the gift giver's problem. It made it easy. It added convenience. And if you would like, you can also use your own ribbon. You can use your own paper. You can make the gift wrapping compatible to your brand. It will brand your merchandise. So, those are just a couple of ideas of how to use visual merchandising to efficiently build your sales. Window displays. So there's a long lesson in Holiday U about window displays. We don't have time for that in this session, but I do want to say this: that your windows are the drive-by, walk-by marketing of your products and services. Think about this for a moment. If you're walking down the street, if you're just doing a sort of the look-de-loo holiday shopping, and you're walking down a street, or you're walking through a mall, or you're walking or you're in a strip center, the windows are what catch somebody's eye. And having a great looking window, making the exterior of your store pop, is going to do a lot to bring a lot of people into your store. So I learned this the hard way. Grand Haven, Michigan, cold, wintry. And in February, I went to a trade show and I saw somebody speak, and they said, you should ask all of your customers how they found you, right? Okay, good. He's a marketing expert. I'm not at the time. And so I just created I had a legal pad like that, and I had some codes: walk by, word of mouth, VIP, regular customers, things like that. Just trying to figure out who came from where. And what I found, I was sure that our current customers, VIP, our current customers, and word of mouth were going to be the primary drivers of traffic. Again, it's the middle of winter in a small town in Michigan, and I didn't think anybody was walking by. And guess what? People who just saw our store and stopped in were the number one source of traffic. As soon as I learned that, I was like, okay, I better get serious about my windows. So that was in February. Imagine the impact that having a hot window or hot windows in your store will do for your holiday traffic when there are people who are walking, who do need to buy. So window displays are a really great way to pull people into your store. Now, if you're on a busy street, there are particular types of windows that you should create. Again, that's covered in Holiday U. But I'm encouraging you to recognize that. Don't underestimate the value of having a great holiday window display. All right. Indy, we're going to move on to holiday promotions. Have there been any questions so far?
Nope, it looks like everybody is just listening, Bob.
Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Indy, if somebody has a question, you just interrupt me and I will answer that question. So here we
Sounds
go.
good.
Let's talk about your holiday promotions. So in Holiday U, I share seven tried and true promotions right now. I'm going to share three of them with you, and three of my favorite. And so here's the thing: most people, or not most people, but a lot of people think I don't need to bother with a lot of marketing at Christmas. They're going to be shopping with me anyway. And that is a false assumption. Look, the holidays, people have to buy. So you being intense, you being deliberate, you being intentional about your marketing is going to have a huge impact on your sales. And a great promotion is a lot of fun. So let me share three of my favorite. And the first is the holiday preview sale. The quick story of the holiday preview sale is, remember that first year I told you about, when the Zoom copter year? Well, we had moved and we knew we needed holiday merchandise, toys and games for the holidays, but there was one big problem. We didn't have any money. We had sold out of our summer supply of kites and we needed cash to get, to bring in this holiday merchandise. So the only thing that we could think to do was to have a sale. And so we had a sale. It started at the end of October, and the first weekend was 20% off. The second weekend was 15% off, and that whole first week was 20% off. And then the last weekend was 15% off store wide. And we were terrified. We thought we're going to cannibalize all of our holiday business. Is terrible. I mean, we didn't like the idea at all. But we decided we had to do it because we had to do it. It turned out to be a huge success. And most of our best clients are doing this. And I'm going to encourage you to do it also. Here are the benefits that we found out that we didn't intend, but that were very real anyway. So the first benefit was we got early customer share. So what does customer share mean? So if Indy is spending $100 at the holidays, and I can get her into my store to spend 60 of those dollars before she starts going online and she goes to the mall and she goes to all these other places, I have 60% of Indy's customer share, of her holiday share. So what were we doing? We were getting people's money earlier. And this was, right about when Black Friday was starting to become big. And we felt real smart because Black Friday was all about getting people to shop early. We had already done that. So, customer share and getting people into your store early gets you a lot of cash. And not only does it get you a lot of cash, but also top of mind awareness. You see, when you do the holiday preview sale, what you're doing is you set your store for the holidays. So people are coming in, they're being helped, they see what you have, they're thinking about you, they're thinking about what you have and who they can give it to, and all of those things. Toma, top of mind awareness. You have them thinking about you and what you sell, and how what you sell can help the customer give great gifts. So, another huge, huge benefit. Also gets intel on product selection. This was another huge benefit. So after you do this holiday preview for a couple of years, and I hope you'll do it this year and continue to do it forever because it's so awesome, by the time the holiday preview sale is done, you will have a really good idea of what's going to be hot and what's not going to be hot. And what that allows you to do is to mark down the slow movers, turn those slow movers into cash, and reinvest that cash into what's going to be bestsellers. So this intel on what is going to sell during the holidays is incredibly important. And it increases early cash flow. Who doesn't like cash flow? And finally, Who doesn't like dollars? Lots and lots of dollars. I mean, so Steve and the Mackinac Kite Company, they still do it. That is, started over 30 years ago. And the holiday preview, those 2 weekends in that week are busier than the week before the holidays. Yes, you're taking a little bit of a hit on a margin, but the benefits far outweigh it. So I'm going to encourage you holiday preview sale, gift card sale.
Hey, Bob.
This is
Before we
really,
move on, we've got a couple
yes.
questions if you don't mind answering
Okay.
them.
Yeah. Aha.
Let's see here. Morgan asked, could you repeat the ideal time frame for the preview sale and the recommended discounts?
Yes. So it starts either the very end of October or the very beginning of November. You want the holiday preview sale to be done, a week or so, at least a week before Thanksgiving and Black Friday and Small Business Saturday and all of those things. And then how it works is 20% store wide for the first weekend, the first week, and 15% store wide the final weekend. In Holiday U, there's a much deeper dive into ways to slice and dice and shuck and jive it, but that's the fundamentals of it there. So you want to get it done and out of the way early. Great question, Morgan. Thank you.
She also asked, how long should it last?
Yes. So, again, it can be longer. I do know people who go 20% for 2 weekends. And then so it'd go 20% weekend number one, 20% week one, 20% weekend two. Then it drops down to 15% for the second week and 15% for the final weekend. So, but most people do it 2 weekends with a week.
All right. We have another question from Kenko, the Work and Play Outfitter. They
All
said,
right. Hi, Kenko.
we have no visible windows and are on the corner of a 45-mile-per-hour highway. We have a
Yeah,
digital sign on the front. Should we treat that like a window display?
100%. And if you can find ways to put wind feathers and whatever you can do. So we call, when we look at the outside, we call it wrapping the package. So whatever you can do, if you're in a high traffic, meaning there's lots of people going by, do everything you can to make your store visible. Everything. So, at the Mackinac Kite Company, we had wind socks, we would fly kites, we would literally, in our Mackinac City store, fly a kite with wind socks attached to the line, and the line went all the way down and ended at our store. Most people can't do that. But the point is that people are driving by. You can use that sign, whatever you can do it.
All right. And we've got one more question from Melanie from
Okay.
Jean's Camera. This is kind of a more broad question, but this is her first
Okay.
time watching any Retail Brilliance live videos. And she's
Oh, well,
wondering,
welcome.
yeah, what advice you have for a new marketing person?
A new marketing person. That is a broader. So without sounding too self-serving, but I mean, my most honest recommendation is invest in the retail mastery system, buy a seat for your marketing person, assign all of the lessons in the marketing module to your marketing person, and then you and this marketing person go back, and you should go through it too. I don't know if you have the retail mastery system or not now, but then the two of you have regular conversations as your marketing person is going through the marketing module. The two of you are communicating regularly about what she learned, what you learned, what can we do. So here's, not to go too deeply in it, but it is not a problem. It's not a problem. But the world has become so digital that it is really hard to stand out digitally. And when we teach marketing, we teach digital marketing, of course, but the marketing that we teach is much more appropriate to something like a camera shop, a true specialty store. We teach gift certificate marketing to get new customers. We teach the value of promotions. There's lots and lots of ways for you to get new customers without buying digital advertising. So that would be my recommendation. If not, Indy, could you put, yeah, so that's, so put, Indy, if you could put a link to the retail mastery system in there. And, for everybody who doesn't have the retail mastery system, that's our flagship product. And it's got a 90-day unconditional money back guarantee. And if you don't have it, I would strongly recommend that you invest in it. If you don't want to pay for it up front, put it on the payment plan. But I guarantee you, well, there is a money back guarantee that it could change your life. So thank you for that question.
Absolutely. And that link is in there. While you were speaking, we got one more question popping in.
Okay,
Uh,
all right.
Southern Home and Kitchen is wondering about exceptions during the preview sale. They don't usually discount gourmet food.
Yes, if they don't discount, so exceptions become tricky. And why do they become tricky? Because people will say, well, how come this isn't in sale? And then you have to say, well, we normally don't discount, but then you can't advertise it. It's a store wide sale. So typically, what people do in things that are scarce, and the tariffs have made a lot of things scarce, or things that they don't want to for any reason, they take them off the floor. The problem with taking them off the floor is that, when we talked about top of mind awareness, is when you take them off the floor, people aren't thinking about them. You're trying to get people in thinking about your stuff. So my recommendation is that gourmet foods, again, do the 20% off. You don't normally, but just because you don't normally doesn't mean you shouldn't or couldn't in this case. So I mean, that would be my response to that. So okay, is that all the questions, Indy?
I think we've covered it all for now. Thank you.
All right. Well, and thank you all for your questions. I really appreciate it. It means that you're engaging your mind, and that's what we're trying to do, pondering the possibilities of this awesome holiday season. So, what is a gift card sale? In our retail marketing club, we had Jessica Scope from Serendipity Wellness and Spa come on, and she talked about how much money she sells with gift cards. So basically, it goes like this. It depends on your price point and things like that, of course. But buy 100, get $20 free. Buy 50, get 10. So you want to have the original amount be a price point. So not buy 90 and get 10 for $100. Get $100 and get 20 free. So you can do that, and then you promote it like crazy. You promote it like crazy. So you want to do it on limited times. You don't want to do it through the entire holiday season. I recommend that you do it early and you do it late. So right, maybe even between. That's a perfect Black Friday thing, right? So you do it on Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and then you do it the weekend before Christmas comes, because the world is filled with people who don't want to shop or don't know what they know, that who they have to buy a gift for should come from your store, but they don't know what's right. They don't feel like dealing with it. So it's a great way for you to sell a lot of stuff. Now, the other thing that Jessica shared that was really cool was she went to Hobby Lobby and bought three different sizes of Christmas trees, and she put a whole bunch of gift cards on each of these trees. So she had like a $500 tree, a $250 tree, and a $100 tree. So people would buy the entire tree and get all the gift cards with it. It's just another way of merchandising. It's another way of putting those things in front of people on your counter. So that is another way, and it's super easy to execute. Holiday preview sale, there's some work involved. 12 Days of Christmas, which I'm going to share in a second, there's some work involved. It's good work. It's work worth doing, but gift card sales, no brainer. Super, super easy. Okay, now let's talk about the 12 days of Christmas. If you've been part of our community, we've been talking about this for years. Why have we been talking about this for years? Okay, so let's go through sort of the rules of the road. So this is a picture of our client, Maureen Doran. She's selling cashmere hats on one day and she's making a video. But really, what you're doing is the 12 days before Christmas. So the story, the 12 days of Christmas, with the story that people know, gives you that framework to do things. But what are you doing? You're selling one item every day. This is important. You're not putting a category on sale, you're putting one item on sale every day. But that item has to have a discount that is deep enough that it drives traffic. So you don't want to have something with 15% off because A, if you do that, is not going to drive any traffic. And B, if you don't have great deals, great stuff with great deals, people are going to tune out. They're not going to open your emails. They're not going to look at your social media when you promote the next day's item. So it needs to be a deep discount. I love 40%, 50%. 75%. These are what we call traffic drivers because the name of the game with the 12 days of Christmas is to get somebody into your store. The deal is what gets people into your store, but then your great merchandise, your highly trained team, your great salespeople take that one item and turn it into a robust sale. So it's a loss leader, a traffic driver, but don't be cheap. Don't. That's my word of caution. Don't be cheap. You want to promote it via social media and in email. A picture is good. A video is better. A plain text is it's just not going to do very well for you. So, a picture is a must. A video is better. This is important. Do not reveal the deals ahead of time. I have, you know, we've done this, we did this at the Mackinac Kite Company. We have so many of our clients who we work closely with. And, I look under the hoods of a lot of retail businesses. You think about 19 years in retail, 25 years, 26 years in this business working with retailers. I've seen what works and what doesn't. And a big mistake that people make is they don't want to send an email every single day. So they send out one email with the deals of the day, right? Here are your 12 days of Christmas deals. The thing that happens is that people come in and they say, "Hey, can I get next week's deal?" And the answer is, well, the answer then has to be yes, of course we can. But the deal, what you're trying to do is whet their appetite to come into your store every single day. I'm going to back up and talk about something really important here. If you're taking notes, write this down. Only three ways to grow your sales: get new customers, increase the average ticket, and increase the number of transactions per customer. So, how do you get your customers in more often? So, think about this. If you can get your current customers in two more times during the holidays and they come in for the great deal, even if you lose a little bit of money on the margin, but you can sell them 20, 50, $100 more stuff every time. Think about the cumulative effects of more transactions per customer that comes from 12 days of Christmas. It really, really works. And then the final thing here is to buy in for margins. Our most savvy clients, when they go to Atlanta or Las Vegas in the summer, they are looking for 12 days of Christmas deals. You see? And so what I'm encouraging you to do right now is to get into go to your vendor catalogs, go to their websites and find clearance items. Find that stuff that you can buy at a great price, still get great margin, and give your customers a great discount at the same time. Don't think of this as a losing proposition. Buy in for best margins. Now, there's one more thing. When we first started doing the 12 days of Christmas, is In the beginning, we would have sort of set items, the things that we brought in just for, or that we decided were the right things for 12 days of Christmas. But then as we got closer to Christmas, the things that we put on sale were primarily holiday stuff because you want to get rid of your holiday stuff during the holidays, not after the holidays. So that was just sort of one of those nuances that you can do. Something else that you can do is I know people who do a deal of the day all through the holidays, the whole December deal of the days. I like the 12 days of Christmas, but again, all of these promotions, try them, work them, make them your own. And next year it's going to be bigger. And the following year it's going to be bigger. And pretty soon it's going to be part of your holiday. It's going to be part of what you do at the holidays. This is why I really want to encourage you to invest in holiday you. So the holidays, assuming you're do a lot of fourth quarter business, you are here, right? The holidays represent so much potential. So if you invest in Holiday University, it's about 4.5 hours long. So four and a half times the content that you got here. But if you invest in Holiday U and you and your team members go through it and apply what you've learned, it's not just going to benefit this holiday, it's going to benefit every single holiday for as long as you are in business. Isn't that crazy? So, when you learn something, your mind is expanded. So, Holiday University, it's 4.5 hours long. It's a deep dive into what we've talked about here. There's also operations. There's lots of other sort of the more nuanced conceptual things that really make a huge difference in your business. There's handouts, including the marketing matrix. It is a great investment in your business. Now, Holiday U is a great investment at the regular price of $197. But from now until Friday, it's only $147. And you get a 30-day unconditional money back guarantee. So if you get it and you go through it and you don't think that it's everything I'm telling you it's going to be, call us up. We'll give you your money back. If it's not working for you, we don't want your money. But now here is something else that's absolutely fantastic. You are going to get a holiday selling course as a bonus. Remember, I told you about the 6 steps to the perfect purchase? Not to brag, I guess I am bragging. So, to brag, I'm a really good sales trainer. And I spent a lot of time on the floor during the holidays. I know how to sell at the holidays. And for the Retail Sales Academy, we created a program specifically for holiday selling. And that is one of your bonuses. Again, if you invest in us, we will do everything we can to make your holiday as successful as we possibly can. So right now it's on sale for $147. You cannot go wrong. You cannot go wrong, and you have plenty of time to go through it, apply it, get it ready, get your head around it, and use it. Again, what are you going to get? Your customers are going to have a better experience. When your customers have a better experience, they're going to spend more money. Your team is going to have a better experience. They're going to be more comfortable and more confident on the floor. And when your team has a good experience, you're going to make more money. Your sales are going to go up significantly because of what you're going to learn at Holiday University. And what does that mean for you? It means you're going to make more money. You're going to feel really good about the holiday season, and you're going to have a lot less stress. Your holidays are going to be a lot more fun. So, Indy, may I assume you put a link in chat?
Yes, absolutely. The link is in there.
Okay. Do we have any final questions? I know that our time is up, but I want to. If anybody has any questions, I will stay until they're answered.
We've got Susan on here, and she's answering some questions as well. But Kelly did
Oh,
ask, If you recommend emailing customers daily for the 12 days of Christmas or just social media so we don't annoy everyone.
Kelly, I am so glad you asked that question. So this is such a common thing. I don't want to email my customers so much because I don't want to annoy them. Kelly, the only way you annoy your customers with email is if you're sending them stuff that they don't find interesting or fun. The problem is not frequency. The problem is value, as in, if you do the 12 days of Christmas right, you saw the video of Maureen. The people who do the 12 days of Christmas right, who have fun videos and they send them out every day, they have tremendous open rates. Why? Because they're fun, they're interesting, and people want to see what the deal is. So, Kelly, I don't know. I don't know if Kelly, if you're a male or a female, but I'm going to assume just for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to assume you're a woman. So you could dress up, put on a Santa hat, and you could be Mrs. Claus. You could sing a song for the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me. Da da! It's 40% off today. Make it fun, make it interesting, and no one will be annoyed. And your open rates will be high. And at the end of the day, the most important thing is it's going to drive sales. So let me say one more thing about email marketing. And then if there's more questions, of course, I'm happy to answer them. But this is really an important perspective. As someone who cares about your success, I would much rather see you mail more often and get a few unsubscribes than not mail often enough and not develop the relationship with your customers, the people who should be your best customers that you could. So do not be afraid. So when we talk about email marketing, my strongest recommendation is that everybody in independent retail should send at least one high value email every single week. So that's a great question, Kelly. Thank you for answering. I hope that answers the question for you. Any more questions, Indy?
I think we have answered them all.
Okay. So to everybody who is here and who has stayed, thank you very much. Your success is, like I said, it's so important to me and Susan and everybody at the WhizBang team. And I know that Holiday, you can and will do tremendous things for you and your business should you make that investment. So invest now. Uh, but the deal goes till the end of Friday. And yeah, thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate it. I'm on.